Everything we do is going to be about winning. Okay, we're going to learn to do things the right way, and that's the only way we're going to do them. Because if it doesn't help us, we're not doing it, man. That's just as simple as it gets. Win the Super Bowl.
That's
I
good.
mean it too. You know, one of the things that the only reason you become a head coach in this league, in my opinion, is to win. That's it. That's the bottom line. If you do it for any other reason, you're wrong.
Hey, Washington football fans, welcome back. So, today we're going to go over part 2 of my little series here of our defense versus their offense. Today we're going to go over week 2 against the Giants and week 3 against the Bills. If you want to catch all the other parts, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. It'd help out a ton. Also, like and comment if you can. Appreciate you. Here we go. So week 2 is our first and only divisional game until week 14 against the New York Football Giants. Now at quarterback, they got Daniel Jones, Danny Fumbles, who surprisingly managed to get a 78.4 PFF grade last year. That must have been all against us. He had a 8.11 RAS score coming out of college. Pretty good athlete, and he showed that off against us last season, running for like 75 yards or something in one game. That's not going to happen this year. We got speed at the linebacker position. We got people more comfortable with the scheme. Jones is not going to be able to do the same kind of stuff to us this year they did last year. They addressed a lot of things there in the offseason, but they failed to address the most important, and that was the offensive line. Let's go ahead and look at what they have. At center, they got Nick Gates, who had a 59.7 PFF grade last year and a 3.17 RAS coming out. This guy's not very good. Then Will Hernandez, who, man, I really liked this guy coming out in the draft. And then sadly, the Giants got him, so, I didn't like him anymore. But he had a 58.1 PFF grade last year. He had an 8.85 RAS coming out. He just hasn't been anywhere near the player that anybody thought he was going to be, and that's great for us because he's not going to be able to cope with the interior pressure from Payne or Allen or a healthy Ioannidis, and he's going to have a rough day. They also have Nate Solder coming back, and first of all, he's far and away from his 9.90 RAS coming out in the first round pick. I don't know, what was that, 12 years ago? 2019, he had a PFF grade of a 64, and then he opted out last season. At this point, I think he's really a little more than a 33-year-old speed bump as far as we're concerned. We're just going to run him over on the way to Daniel Jones. Then they also had first-rounder Andrew Thomas, who I also like coming out in the draft. But last season, he got a 62.4 PFF grade. He had a 8.11 RAS score. Like I said, I really like this guy in Georgia. But the reason he went so high in the draft is he was supposed to be the most pro-ready guy. And that just hasn't been the case. He hasn't played anywhere near that. And I really don't see him going from caterpillar to butterfly against Chase and Montez. So I think it's going to be a bad time for him as well. Then we get to our first spot of bother here. Saquon Barkley's back. He's healthy. He's a 9.97 RAS. Second overall pick in the draft as a running back these days. That's kind of crazy. 85.7 PFF grade in 2019. He was injured most of last season, all of last season pretty much. Now, coming back off that injury, you got to wonder, is he going to come back like Adrian Peterson did off his ACL? Or will he be diminished? Even diminished, he's probably still above average at the position. And he's probably the most dangerous part of that team to us. It'll be a real test if we've really gotten better at the linebacker level and against the run in general, but I think it's a test we'll pass. At tight end, they got Evan Ingram, who had a 60.6 PFF grade last season. The man was a 9.11 RAS score coming out, first round pick. He has been very underwhelming so far. It's another guy I think Jamin will be able to handle. If not, Cam Curl will be right there in his hip pocket. So, again, nothing I'm worried about. They bring in Kenny Galladay in free agency, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be their number one. Now, he's another guy coming off an injury, but last season he had an 81.6 PFF grade before that. He was a 8.95 RAS coming out. Now, he's a really dangerous downfield threat when he's healthy. Like I said, he's probably going to be their number one. And this just might, even though they're going to be their number one, this might be another job for Juice. Matching up with a 6'4" wide receiver that looks to bully at the catch point. You know, we're really going to throw Ben St. Juice out in the fire in the first 2 weeks. Putting him against some of these bigger wide receivers, I think that would be the best way to handle him. But I have faith that he can shine up against them. I mean, it's going to be a tough task, but it's better than letting him bully some of our smaller guys. They also have Sterling Shepard, who's played good for him. He had a 79.6 PFF grade last year, 7.62 RAS. Then you got Darius Slayton, 67.8 PFF, 8.92 RAS coming out. Now, I think Kendall Fuller matches up well with either of those guys coming out of the slot, or even split out wide. They're the kind of guys that Fuller can kind of match up with. But they also brought in John Ross, who had a horrible 48.2 PFF grade last he played. And this guy was a 9.51 RAS coming out. He's a great athlete. He's a burner. He's always had the potential to be a good deep threat, but he's never really gotten close to it. And I don't look for him to do it this year either. Like, it's kind of a crowded situation there. But now we at least have Bobby McCain to cover over the top in case, you know, he does make anything out of his trip to New York. So, not really worried about John Ross. Now, Kadarius Toney, their first round pick, 84.2 PFF grade in college, 9.0 RAS. This guy is insane after the catch. I think they're going to have to manufacture catches for him. You're going to give him a lot of bubble screens and stuff like that. You know, just make sure they get the ball to him and then let him try to have room to work. But I think our linebacker and our safety groups will kind of play this guy like a punt return and corral him for short gains. I don't see the Giants already having kind of his role worked out by week 2, and I don't see him being much of a factor. Now, like I said, Daniel Jones gave us, you know, some big problems with his legs last year, but our upgrades at the linebacker position, specifically the speed of Jamin Davis, should minimize any damage that Jones can cause that way. And while they do have a metric ton of offensive weapons, I still think their offensive line is so weak, and they didn't do anything to make it better, that we're just going to dominate on that front, and the pressure is going to be too much. Now, running Saquon could help him out a lot, but I think we can limit him from getting big gains and put the burden on Daniel Jones to try to win the game. And we know Daniel Jones makes mistakes. We're going to force him to make those mistakes. And it's going to be a bad game for the New York Giants, in my opinion. Well, we have Fitz, who's prone to make mistakes too. And New York Giants secondary is no joke. But I think our defense shuts them down pretty good. Again, all said and done, the name of the game is affecting the quarterback, and it's just a game we're built better for. So on to week 3 against the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, 90.9 PFF grade last year. 9.67 RAS score coming out. Josh Allen's a bad man, and this guy can buy time with his legs. He's going to be a tough matchup. Tough matchup. As far as this O-line goes, he's got Mitch Morse at center, who had a 65.8 PFF score last year. 9.57 RAS coming out. This dude's a solid veteran. You know, he's actually played up to a Pro Bowl level a few times in his career. So, you know, you can expect that he might slow us down a little bit. Like Mitch Morris, you know, he's not no joke. But the rest of the line, we got Forrest Lamp, who I think this guy was like a first-round pick too, for the Chargers or something. This guy had a 49.4 PFF grade last year. Not worried about him at all. Definite weakness on the interior. John Feliciano, 64.6 PFF grade last year, 3.20 RAS coming out. I want to say that either Ron or Jack Del Rio actually drafted this guy. So he's actually had a couple seasons where he was close to Pro Bowl performance, but again, he's not really at the top of his game. They did get Jack Anderson. I don't know if they got him in the draft or undrafted, but he's a guy I thought had some potential. He's a 8.58 RAS score guy, 78.8 PFF grade in college. You know, he could be tough in spots if they play him as a rookie. Deion Dawkins, probably the best part of their line at tackle. 78.1 PFF grade last year, 8.80 RAS. It's going to be tough going up, you know, his side of the ball, but I mean, we got monsters on both edges, so will it be tough? Probably. You got Cody Ford. This is another guy I really like coming out in the draft, and he has just been underwhelming. 53.8 RAS, 53.8 PFF grade, 6.33 RAS. He was a second-round pick, not living up to the hype. Don't see it really clicking this year. I mean, it could, but he's got guys behind him like Tommy Doyle, who they got in this year's draft, or undrafted. Like I said, I don't know where these guys exactly went, but Tommy Doyle had a 9.90 RAS. He had a 64.3 PFF grade in college. Big, athletic. I think he was a tackle. I mean, they could maybe move him in. Just Doyle and Anderson are both rookies they got that could actually fill in some of these weak spots. But at the end of the day, I think, you know, our defensive line is still going to have their way with them. And it's really going to be Josh Allen's mobility that gives us the real test. If anything wins the game for them, it's going to be Josh Allen's mobility. At tight end, they got Dawson Knox, who 61.4 PFF grade. He was a 9.25 RAS. Serviceable tight end. You know, he's not going to shock us, though. It's not going to be anything we can't handle with, you know, Cam Curl or with our linebacker group. Now, Stephon Diggs, on the other hand, is a top wide receiver in the NFL. 89.4 PFF, 4.4 speed. This is going to be a week where, you know, William Jackson's gonna earn his bread there. Going to put him on Diggs and hope for the best. I think he matches up pretty well with him. I think we can definitely frustrate Diggs. Kind of got a habit of getting a little upset. I think we can really get in his head and piss him off this week and keep him pretty honest. Emmanuel Sanders, what is he, like 145 years old? He's out there still putting up decent PFF grades, 74.6. Way back in 2010 when he came out, he had a 9.38 RAS. But now he's got all the arthritis and everything building up and his old age and that Centrum Silver and Geritol only does so much for him. Still a decent weapon, but I think our secondary is going to be able to handle him pretty well. Then we got Cole Beasley. He had an 84.9 PFF grade last year. Ran a 4.49 40. Man, I've hated this guy for a long time. Former Dallas Cowboys wide receiver. He was a thorn in our side the whole time he was there. Couldn't stand the guy. He was like Miles Austin, like 2.0. He was like the next guy I really hated that played for Dallas. And now we got to play him at Buffalo. And I think any of the three of our corners should be able to handle him pretty well. He come out of the slot a lot, so Fuller for sure would be able to shut Cole Beasley down. They also have rookie Marquez Stevenson, another guy I really liked out of Houston. Like, he could offer a good return game for him, and as a wide receiver, he's another guy that's really good after the catch. He was kind of like, I don't want to compare him to Kadarius Toney, but he was kind of that guy. They were both like, actually had some decent size to them, like 190, 200 pounds, but they were still super shifty. Where like the super shifty guys usually were, 170 pound guys or something. These guys were both up around that 200 pounds and still real shifty and could take a shot. So I'm worried about him if he makes his way to the roster, but this game, I mean, I've kind of talked myself into thinking we could win it, but I still think this is a game our defense possibly takes the L in, guys. And I don't know. Let me know down below. How do you think we're going to do in this game? Our defense versus their offense. And then down below, you can even tell me, you think Fitzmagic's going to come save the day? Going to bail out the defense for once? Or what? But, yeah, as far as predictions go, I got this as our first L. But I could be persuaded to think otherwise, because just looking at the way the team matches up, Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs are the only things that really make me worried a little bit. But, yeah, if you guys like the video, I'll be coming out with, part 3 soon. So, subscribe down below so you can watch that when it comes out. And if you guys watch the video, I love you. Peace.